KELP El Paso. Feed your mind, feed your soul at 1590 AM, 95.9 FM. Streaming worldwide at KELPradio.com.
915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice Media. You can visit desertvoice.media to learn more.
915 TALK.
The world is looking at El Paso.
What will we say to the world?
This is one.
From the KELP studio in El Paso, this is 915 Talk.
And now your host.
Good afternoon, beautiful citizens of the borderland. This is 915 Talk, and I'm your host, Andy Frecka. Today we are broadcasting from the heart of the world's largest borderplex. We're here at the KELP studio in El Paso, and we have Kenny on the board this afternoon. Kenny, how you doing?
He's here?
Yeah, he is here. He is among us.
Sure.
Is all going well with our new system?
Yes, so far.
Yeah, you're new. Kenny on the board is new to the new board.
The new board, yes. New board. I love it.
Yeah, so today we have some very special guests with us, Kenny. Do you know why they're special?
They're all unique expressions of an endlessly creative God.
That is correct, Kenny on the board. They are all unique expressions of an endlessly creative God. But riddle me this, Kenny on the board. Should we as Christians be involved in politics?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
What's your biblical basis? You can't just say yes. Come on, my guy.
What do you mean you can't say yes? You asked, should we? And the answer is yes.
Yeah. Where do you find it in the Bible?
It doesn't specifically say be involved, but it does say to pray for our leaders. And we do want God's will to be done. If we're not involved, we're not out voting, we're not out expressing our opinions and our beliefs in God, then how do those get represented?
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to hear from our guests today what their view is on it. We have a lot to unpack over this next hour. Wait, do we have some breaking news, Kenny, on the board? Wait, what is this? What is happening? It's breaking news? What is it? What is it? What? Oh, what is
Important
this?
announcement. You can now feed your mind, feed your soul with the KELP radio app. Listen to your favorite Christian teaching and talk programs on your smartphone from anywhere in the world with the KELP radio app. You can download the app on your app store now.
Oh, the KELP radio
What
app.
about that?
Oh, that is breaking news. What if someone is thinking about the KELP radio app? What should they do?
They should go to their app store and download it.
That is correct, Kenny on the board.
And it's free.
Yeah, it is free. You
Even
can
better.
feed your mind and feed your soul with your smartphone. So think about this. Let's say you're out jogging in the morning. I know you love to jog, Kenny on the board.
I'm sorry. Have you seen
Yeah.
me? What part of me says I like to jog?
When you're working out, working around the house, you can be listening to
Okay.
the KELP radio app.
Right.
Okay, so nothing gets our listeners more excited than to talk about politics. Isn't that right, Kenny?
I think so.
Yeah, so if you get super excited or wound up or unhappy with what we're going to be talking about, you can use the KELP radio app and you can message the studio, and I'm going to get those messages. And if they're appropriate, and if we have time, I will read those messages. Or if you have questions, you can also use Facebook, YouTube. I'm looking at all that on my computer, and we'll get to as many of those as we can. So today we have Pastor Luis Cabrera, we have Tara, we have Shannon, we have Debbie. They're all from this one organization. They're going to talk to us about being involved in what is going on in society today. So without further ado, let's give a very warm Borderland welcome to Citizens Defending Freedom. Tara and Luis, welcome to 915 Talk.
Hello.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure to be here in El Paso, Texas.
Yeah, you come from the other parts of the great nation of Texas.
Correct.
Why did you come to El Paso?
Well, we understand
because
that,
we're not sure if we're part of Texas, actually.
some people don't know where you guys are at. They think that you are like in Mexico, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we came here because doors have been open to us to come here and just to empower and educate and expose what is going on here in this lovely city.
Okay.
of El Paso.
Okay, expose what is. Okay, hold on.
Yes.
Okay, so this guy just drove in or flew in, and he's going to expose to us what is going on in our city. So you have to follow through. What is going on in our city?
Well, you have to come to the summit tomorrow.
Oh,
We have a big meeting tomorrow, but no, we just want to just expose things that are happening here and locally,
okay.
and that's why we brought our amazing team here from the City of Texas team that's going to come and talk about elections, education, and I'm going to talk about on the faith side of why pastors and community leaders, faith leaders, have to engage in the public arena.
Okay, so Kenny and I were talking about should Christians be involved in the political space. I'm guessing because you're from an organization called Citizens Defending Freedom that you do believe we should be. Tara, can you speak into that?
Yeah.
I feel like you're really wanting to say something about that. You're like, this is why I'm in El Paso. You need to hear why we need to become involved.
I will tell you, Citizens Defending Freedom believes that all Christians should be involved in politics, and without their voice, and frankly, the voices have been silent for a while, we are where we are today. And so we are here to ignite the church, ignite those who love this country and the Constitution and biblical values, and speak up.
Okay, where are we today?
We're not in a good place. We're social transitioning our children without parental
social transitioning. What does that mean?
Social transitioning. Social transitioning is when a kid goes to school and they want to be called something that they're not born genetically. In other words, if you're a boy but you think you're a girl, there are schools that have espoused to the ability to sit there and say to a child, oh, I'll just call you a she, and we'll change your name, and feel free to do that while you're here at school. And that's socially transitioning them.
Okay, and is that happening in Texas?
It is happening in Texas.
I didn't think. I thought that happened in all the other states.
Nope, it's happening in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately it is.
All right, and coming in from the outside, what are you seeing in El Paso?
Well, I will tell you, I have my education director here and my elections director here, and I'll let them speak to what they've discovered here in El Paso. And frankly, if they really want to hear what's happening in El Paso, they need to come to the summit tomorrow, starting at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock in the morning?
In the morning.
Apparently you've never been to El Paso before. We usually start at 9 o'clock in the evening.
Well, you sound like my education director, Shannon. She probably is going to love you.
So down there we call it Valley Time.
Yes.
You're on Valley Time.
Yeah, right.
Oh, my.
Like an hour later.
Time. I love it.
Right. Okay. So, Luis, your title, I should say, is Texas Latino Faith Director.
Correct.
What is the Latino faith?
So we basically get all Latinos, especially pastors, there are Spanish-speaking or English-speaking Latinos, to engage, right? To empower them, to give them tools. Because, the problem with the church today is we've been playing too much defense.
Okay. Tell me about that.
It's like we always come when things fall apart. Like, why do we, when we break down the armor of God, I love using this example. The armor of God is meant to put it on and to advance. When you read in Ephesians 6, we don't have an armor for our back. Like, nowhere in the Bible where you see anything where...
The back plate?
Yes, a back plate. You know why? Because
the back plate of defense.
Imagine.
That's actually in Second Opinions 3:16.
Second opinions.
I love it. I got to check that one out.
Yeah.
Look it up. But yes, but you know what? We've been playing, we've been giving our back towards the enemy, and the enemy has just ravished us. He has taken so much territory away from us. And the problem with the church is that we don't understand, number one, biblically, what are, we are called to be the gatekeepers of our community.
Okay.
Like, if there's things going on in your community, and I'm a pastor in this community, like, I'm responsible, spiritually speaking, for the climate, for the moral climate of my community.
Amen.
And if there's evil things going on,
pastors are responsible for the moral climate of your community.
You better believe it. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, and so today we have pastors that are so, and they're just worried about the four walls, right? As a pastor, let me just take care of my flock, but there's things that affect that flock outside of the community,
Okay.
like laws, ordinances, taxes. All those things affect us as a community. So, like I told
When
people,
it comes to property taxes, I don't know if you know
Yeah.
about this. In El Paso, we're leading the way.
there you go.
Yeah.
Like this past election that we had this past Tuesday, how many people voted for those propositions that spoke
how
about
many
that?
how many people voted just because their legislator or someone said, if you don't know what they are, just vote all yes.
Yes.
That's what was said by one of our, I don't know. Can I say his name? I don't know.
It's up to you. All opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the speaker and do not necessarily represent Cornerstone Broadcasting, KELP Radio. So have at it.
Let's just say he's a lieutenant and
Yeah.
he's a governor,
Okay,
and we might
hello.
just say that.
So vote yes for everything is
that's,
what was said.
that was the advice.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a big problem when a church is kind of like, we're not informed, and we don't know what's going on outside of the four walls. So I always ask this question to the pastors: if you close your church this Sunday, would your community miss you? I want you to think about that. Would your community miss you because you have closed your doors? Because our job is to impact our community, is to make disciples, not members, to make disciples and send them out.
Okay.
To make more disciples.
Right.
And right now we're seeing the Muslim takeover
Yeah.
in crucial cities like we just saw in New York City. Muslims are occupying
Okay.
little by little in this land, especially, and they can talk to you what's going on with these epic
Yeah.
cities close to where, by
In
Plano,
Collin
Texas.
County.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Like
Yeah.
these people aren't messing around. And so we have just given our back towards the enemy, and the enemy has literally taken everything, territory from us, little by little, by local elections. Why? Because he knows that we don't vote, because we can care less. There's when I was pastoring my church, I was more worried about the color of my carpet than my community. I want you to think about that. We're so caught up with the business of the four walls that we can care less what's happening outside, because we think that doesn't affect us. Of course it does.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I do need to mention, I forgot to say this. So you guys all came in because my good friend, he's actually known here in these parts as the Pope of Horizon City. Pastor Timothy Perea gave me a
All
call.
right.
And he's sitting right here in the studio, and he
Pope.
said,
We love Pastor Timothy.
he said, you got to have these people on. And I said, let's do this. But he's someone who's very involved in the community.
Yes.
I really appreciate Brother Timothy Perea, again, the Pope of Horizon City. But what does it look like when the church is engaged in the local society?
Oh,
Yeah.
transformation happens.
Paint a picture.
Transformation. I'll give you an example. A pastor from Florida, from Lake Wells, Florida. He's part of our network.
Legos?
Lake Wells.
Oh, I thought you said Legos.
Legos.
Legos, Florida. Okay.
So we have a conference, a training summit that's called Liberty Pastors that we invite the pastors to go to.
Liberty
and,
Pastors.
And we invite them. We pay for the bill. All they got to do is just get there.
Okay.
Get your airfare to get there.
Gotcha.
So this pastor went to this training called Liberty Pastor Training, and on the way back, he drove back home from Georgia to Florida, and in his community, all hell was breaking loose. The LGBT community had taken over his city. They had passed proclamations to make June Pride Month. All these things that was going on in his community, and on his way back after the conference, God convicted him and said, "You know what? I want you to run for mayor."
Okay.
And so, as a pastor, when you hear those words from the Lord, like, okay, Lord, is this God or is this Satan? Like, what do you want me to do? Like, so he wrestled with the Lord for 2 weeks. He wrestled with God because he says, God, is this you telling me to run for mayor? Because I'm not a politician. And God began to tell him, I don't want you to be a politician. I want you to be an ambassador, my ambassador. And so, you know what? He went up Sunday morning to his church, and he goes, okay, church, I got a special announcement. I'm running for mayor. It was dead silence. There was no glory to God. There was no amen. There was none of that stuff. It was just dead silence. And actually, you know what? 5 to 10 families left his church because they don't want their pastor to be involved in politics
Right.
because they believe this lie of separation of church and state. So long story short, he runs for office, and guess what? He won that seat. And so because of what he did, I mean, he focused on one precinct and all those houses around the precinct. So his church grew from 400 people at that point to now he has 2,000 people going to this church. So now three other city positions are now held by pastors as well, because he encouraged other pastors to run for local government. And so now the whole count, not only the county but the city has flipped. Now it is just, so now the month of June is a month of fatherhood responsibility. That's what happens when a man of God or a woman of God take possession of something.
A month of fatherhood responsibility.
Is that amazing? Instead of Pride Month,
Right.
it's Fatherhood Responsibility Month. Wow. So he has reversed the curse not only for that city but for that county. So that one church has flipped 18 seats up to date. So so we use that example of the power of the church, and that was just one church that did that change. They changed the climate.
Pastor Luis, wasn't 18 of those seats, wasn't 15, I believe, from his church?
Yes.
So
Correct.
15 people decided to step up and run for office.
Wow.
And so now his church, they are the ones
They're
that
the
are
gatekeepers of that community,
Right.
literally.
Yeah.
Okay, Tara, I want to ask you specifically about Texas. You are the Texas Executive Director.
Correct.
Which sounds like
Yes.
kind of like the governor. But I think it's the Texas Executive Director of Citizens Defending Freedom. But one of the reasons I started this program is because when I moved to El Paso, I realized that the churches very often know what's happening in Washington, D.C., but very little of what's happening here in our own community. Hopefully this program has helped a little bit for us to learn about what's happening right here. But I still really believe that here in El Paso, we feel like we're on an island in the middle of the desert, and we feel that way because that's actually the reality of the situation. But also, we might know what's going on here. We might know what's going on in Washington, D.C., but very little of what's going on in Texas. Just briefly, could you just fire away at some of the
Sure.
the issues for us to keep our eyes peeled for?
Yes. So it gets complicated because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of shenanigans going on there in the
Some
Capitol.
tomfoolery?
Tomfoolery.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of times what you hear on the news,
Is not always true and
it's
balanced and
definitely
fair?
not. And even if it's
Really?
the ones that you trust.
That's why
yes.
you should listen to KELP.
Yeah.
That's right.
Did you know that even
Think
in
I'm gonna start
Dallas, you
doing
can
that
listen
more
to
and more.
KELP radio app available? Anyway, please continue.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. So yeah, social transitioning. There, a real problem is pedophilia. Teachers who are using their authority in the classroom and grooming children, and not only grooming children, but sexually advancing on them. I mean, that's just the fact. They're in Salina, Texas.
But what does that have to do with politics?
That has a lot to do with it.
Okay.
We have to protect the minds and hearts of our children, the future generation. And when you're exposing them to books, I mean, we could be called book banners, or we could be called people that don't really like the books. They just want them out, and this is what they did in the Nazi time frame, blah blah blah. You can go on with all the narratives and the labels, but the bottom line is, if you come tomorrow, you're going to hear the garbage that our public schools allow in the libraries for the ages all the way in junior high, which is very young, into high school. We even have one book that is that Shannon will be speaking about tomorrow, that she found here in El Paso in the public schools, in elementary school. So so that's one thing. They also we have it, like I said, we have a hiring issue. We just hire anybody, and these teachers are doing things that they should not be doing to our students.
Okay.
But the Muslim issue,
It's
it's
a big one.
huge. It's huge. We got a problem here in Texas. It's an ideology. And if we start realizing that, and that ideology is going and filtering into our communities more than you think, they speak louder, and they do get involved in politics, and they do run for office. We have a mayor right now in Richardson who is a Muslim, and I promise you there'll be more. They do try to take over school boards, and their ideology does not coincide with Christianity.
Okay.
And with the Constitution, too.
Yeah,
All right.
or the Constitution. They like Sharia.
All right. So if you're just joining us, we're with Citizens Defending Freedom. We have a full studio today of guests. We do need to go into a break. Before we go into the break, just here's the information on the Faith in Action Summit that will be taking place tomorrow morning, which is November 8th, year of our Lord 2025. It'll be at Hope City Community Church. If you don't know where that is, just look on the internet or listen carefully right now. 6115 Woodrow Bean Trans Mountain. Is that literally what it's called? Like, okay. Woodrow Bean Trans Mountain. But it's 6115 Trans Mountain. You'll find it. It starts at 9 a.m. Doors open at 8:30. And what is most important to our listening audience, refreshments provided. Pope Perea, could you please speak into the cost of registration? Free. Oh, that's also the most important thing. If it's free, it's for me. Faith in Action Summit. Let's go out and hear what's going on. Before we go into the break, this is your daily reminder that 915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice Media and is listener supported. So if you go to desertvoice.media, that is the website, you can listen to this or any previous 915 Talk conversation, and you can take advantage of the giant green donate button. We love it when you do that. But thank you for joining us each and every weekday afternoon as we learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory. When we get back from the break, we're going to be talking with Debbie and Sharon about education.
Shannon.
Did I say Sharon?
Yeah.
I did. My deepest apologies. Shannon. We'll be talking with Shannon and Debbie about education and elections. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
915 Talk is listener supported and is a production of Desert Voice Media. That's right. It's people just like you who make this program possible. Together with Desert Voice, you can learn how to better serve our neighbors and pray for our community. To become a Desert Voice Media partner, you can visit desertvoice.media. That's right. That's the website, desertvoice.media. Take a look and join us today in reaching our borderland for Christ.
Testify.
I was 10 years into a 20-year bid in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, doing 23 hours a day in a cell, solitary confinement. I was at a breaking point in life where I was just hopeless, depressed. I couldn't find no peace. It brought me to my knees in a prison cell, and I met Jesus. He delivered me from addiction, from a life of crime, the gangs, from evil, wicked ways. To the gang member that's lost, to the drug addict, Jesus loves you, and no matter what you've done in this world, in this life, the doors are open. When I met Jesus Christ, he touched my heart in a powerful way. I was once a heroin addict, a thief, an all-around bad person. My name is Daniel Chavez. I'm from Central El Paso, and I just want the world to know that if he did this for me, he could do it for anybody.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb.
And by the word of their testimony.
desertvoice.media.
Hi, friends. This is Janet Marshall, host of In the Market, coming to you on Moody Radio. On our next broadcast, when you get out there in the marketplace of ideas, and I do hope that is where you're going, it can be overwhelming. How do you discern right from wrong, truth from falsehood? How do you make sure the Bible is your straight stick of truth? I've invited Craig to join me. There's been a boatload of news lately. We're going to unpack it all from a biblical perspective. Hope you'll join us on In the Market with Janet Marshall.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
We are back, and you are listening to 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Frecka. Today we're with Citizens Defending Freedom. They will be at the Faith in Action Summit at the Hope City Community Church tomorrow morning. Refreshments provided, and it's free. It starts at 9 a.m. But as promised before the break, we're now talking with Debbie and Shannon of Citizens Defending Freedom. We're going to be talking elections and education. And Shannon, I know you're really wanting to tell us what's going on with education. I can feel it.
I can feel it across the room. Well, I just wanted to follow up on something that Tara had brought up earlier. You had asked why it's political, the pedophilia and the things that are happening in the classroom with these teachers. This is almost a daily occurrence now. A new news story comes out almost daily now about another teacher who has had an inappropriate relationship with a student or minor, or sexually assaulted a student or minor, or has child porn found on their computers at school. So it's definitely what I think becoming an epidemic. I don't know why. I know that the hiring practices for teachers has something's falling through the cracks. There's something that needs to be done in terms of how they're vetting their employees. But I will say the reason it's political is because we need to be, as Christians in Austin, every session demanding accountability for these school districts. They currently enjoy sovereign immunity.
What's that mean?
It means they can get away with pretty much anything and not be sued. There is no recourse for a parent whose child has been assaulted by a teacher or has had an inappropriate relationship.
You can't sue the school district.
You cannot sue the school district. Now you can, because last session we were there, and Mitch Little is a representative in the House, a new representative, and he wrote a bill and got it passed amazingly, HB 4623, that does now hold school districts accountable for either sweeping that under the rug, because that's what's happening. These districts don't want the bad news. They don't want the bad press. And so they just they find out these teachers have done this, done something wrong. And instead of reporting them to the police and reporting them to SBEC and making sure that they don't have a teaching certificate anymore, they just ask them to quietly resign, which they do. And then because there's no record anywhere of what he's done, that teacher's allowed to move to another district, either in Texas. I mean, he could just move to another district here in Texas, or he could go to another state, and there's nothing that would show up on any background check that would alert a school that's about to hire that teacher.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that we need to hold the school districts accountable, but how do we do that?
We get real. First of all, you need to understand what's happening, and Christians need to open their eyes and see what's happening and learn what's happening in the school districts. And then they need to go to Austin if possible, or write your legislator. Christians need to know who their legislator is, who their House member is, who their senator is, and they need to be calling. I want my senator and my House member to know who I am when he sees me coming and say, "Oh no, here she comes." And that's what we need. We need them to be more afraid of us than they are,
Does that really influence a legislator to hear from us?
It absolutely does. If you do it en masse. Now, if you got one person doing it, I mean, we had one, not this session that just ended, but the session before, there was an organization that put together busloads of people every single week, filled buses to go to Austin with grassroots conservatives, and fought for the legislative priorities that as Christians we wanted. And it did make a difference. It does make a difference. They don't like the pressure.
Okay.
So it absolutely makes a difference if we're all in it together and do our part.
All right. So speaking to school choice.
Oh, so CDF doesn't take a position on school choice.
CDF is Citizens Defending Freedom.
Yeah, sorry. I personally, I think as an idea, it's a great idea. I mean, I think people want an option, a different option, because of all the things that are happening, like what I'm mentioning in the public schools. And they want options. In Texas, we really do have a lot of options already, though. I would argue that we already had school choice. because you can homeschool, you can send to a private school, you can send to a charter school. I mean, there's many different ways you can have your child educated. And so I would argue we already had that. The school choice bill that passed, I'm not an expert on it. I didn't really dive into it very, very deeply, but I think it was a lot of vendor contracts for third parties coming in, you know, and making a lot of money.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Again, if you're just joining us, we're with Citizens Defending Freedom. We're talking about, as they say, what's going on. But we have Charlie One on the phone. Charlie One, what are you seeing out in the roads this afternoon?
Lost him.
You lost Charlie One?
Yeah.
How could you have lost Charlie One?
I don't know. I thought he was taller than that.
Okay. All right. So he'll probably call back in a minute. But so I asked you about school choice. It didn't seem to be your focus or passion is the impression I got. So are you more focused on influencing the public school system?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because there will always be children in public school.
Mm.
So, I mean, are we just going to see a public schools kids?
Right,
I mean, you know, we've got to fix we've got to fix the public schools because there's always going to be. Are we just going to ignore those kids?
Yeah. I just love hearing you say that, and also understanding kind of what your focus is. And I absolutely agree with that. That we can't just, I guess, put our own children in a bubble and ignore the rest of our communities. We're going to make another try. Charlie One, what are you seeing out in the roads this afternoon?
Well, I see some congested traffic right now. Really, I call it shopper's traffic. I'm talking about I-10 in Yarborough, I-10 in McRae. Very busy. You're almost bumper to bumper in those areas right there. Maybe shopper's traffic, I don't know, but it's very busy right there. Then we have a crash with injury. North Loop and Americas in the valley, North Loop and Americas. We have on the east side Andy Williams and Bob Mitchell on a crash. And then we have a closure going on Mesa, east and west at Salt Kleinfield. I mean, check that, Montana, east and west at Salt Kleinfield. A lot of lane closures that go on there. Mesa and Sunland Park under a lane closure there. So just caution in these areas and drive safely this afternoon. Well, one more spot, I-10 East Spaghetti Bowl area, typical slowing right there. Andy, back to you.
Charlie One, this afternoon we have Citizens Defending Freedom in the studio. They come from all over Texas, places like Brownsville and some places around Dallas. I don't know. It sounds like it's pretty important places. Don't remember the names. But this might be their first time in El Paso. Tomorrow morning they're going to be at Hope City Church at a kind of a summit, Faith in Action Summit. Before they go to the Faith in Action Summit, where would you recommend that they try the local menudo?
You know, the thing about El Paso is that menudo here in El Paso, it's hard to find it anywhere else. I mean, you go to L.A., Houston, Dallas, and it's difficult to find real delicious menudo. Some places don't even make it, but here in El Paso, you can enjoy that delicious menudo at Mi Perrito Cafe, 3123. We'll open up at 7 o'clock in time for you to go in there.
They'll make it right on time. That's great.
Enjoy that menudo. Andy, back to you.
All right, we'll talk soon, Charlie One. And we're back with Citizens Defending Freedom. We've been talking with Shannon about what's going on with education, but we also have Debbie with us. Debbie, you are the Texas Elections Director.
I am.
So you direct the elections. What's going on?
Well, I'm more of a watchdog.
We wish you did. Okay.
So we've got some issues in our elections,
All right,
and
tell
what
me
we
about
like to say is that a law without penalties is just a suggestion. So we've got some laws in Texas that are actually pretty good. There's one called unlawful altering of election procedures.
Unlawful. Wow, that sounds complicated.
I know, it's a lot. It's a mouthful.
Yeah, okay.
So unlawful altering of
Okay.
election procedures.
Okay.
So if something's unlawful, they shouldn't be doing it.
Right. Amen.
So any election official from the top of the Secretary of State all the way down should be following the laws that we already have in our election code,
Okay.
which we have some pretty good laws here in Texas when it comes to our election code. The problem is that that particular law has no penalty on it. So it's just a suggestion.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's good to know for running for office. Yes. So wait. Tell me more. It sounds like you're saying voter fraud is legal.
Pretty much. That's pretty much what I just said, isn't it? So this is the problem: is if you don't have to follow the law, and there are election administrators across the state of Texas that will do their training and say, "I'm not worried about that because there's no penalty on that law." So they continue to break the law, and that's a problem.
So paint a picture. Tell me, like, what does that look like, nuts and bolts?
Well, I'll give you an example from my county. We have in Texas, we have what's called a logic and accuracy test. That is a test.
What?
A logic and accuracy test.
A logic and accuracy test.
Yes, and that is supposed
Is
to
that-
test your
is-
machines before the election happens to make sure that they
Oh.
are accurate.
Oh, I thought it was like to
right?
test if you're really a Texan. Okay.
Well,
so
I am. I'm a native born, by the way.
Okay. All right. So it's a test of the ballot machine.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
So in my county, what we found out is that they were taking the same 5 machines out of the closet, testing them, and putting them back in the closet without ever putting them out into the field. Election after election after election.
Okay.
Does that sound like they're really testing those machines?
I'm going to say that's a rhetorical question.
Yes, it is. So this is a problem. I mean, now that's not necessarily unlawful, but we did also go to logic and accuracy tests where we had the law in front of us and line by line said, did you do this? Did you do that? No, we didn't do that. We didn't have to do that. Well, the law says that you're supposed to do this. Why aren't you doing it? Then they say, oh, we did it perfect. You send in a complaint to the Secretary of State's office, and then all of a sudden, the next logic and accuracy test, they're like, oh, we made some changes based on your suggestions.
Okay.
So-
All right. Well, I love the world of suggestions. So I have a very specific question. When I voted for it was the presidential election, they told me that when I went into the booth, I wasn't allowed to look at my phone.
Yeah, that is a law in Texas. You're not supposed to have your phones in the elections office.
But then I looked up the law, and it's a suggestion because I can't do anything.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, you can test that out, but let me tell you that
Yeah.
the judges have a lot of authority in the polling places.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, like, what should we do? Like, write down on a piece of paper?
yes, write it down on a piece of paper and take it with you. Now,
Okay.
you have a problem here in El Paso because only 50% of the people, less than 50% of the people voted in that presidential election. So that number needs to be higher. Many of the counties across Texas voted at about 70% or higher in that particular election.
Yeah. So El Paso's an interesting place. Is this your first time here?
It is.
Oh, wow.
But I
okay.
will say my son is here because he's at Fort Bliss.
Okay. But still your first time here.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I'm going to see him later. I'm
Oh, that's
excited.
cool. No, that's super cool. Fort Bliss is, of course, a central part of our community. So when you look ahead, well, actually, what I want to say about El Paso, getting back to that, we're very heavy a Democrat city in a Republican state. And so I think for a lot of people here, when it comes to local elections, why should I vote? Because we know where the local elections are going. And why should I vote state? Because we know which way the state's going. Speak into that.
So local elections, your last election, their May municipal election, which is where your school boards, your mayors, and your city councils are chosen. In that election, you had 3% of the people choose who was going to be the winner of that election. Just think about if the churches had gotten involved, if just one large church in the area could have changed the entire trajectory of that particular election. So
I feel like
that's-
we're being preached at by Debbie
Yes,
Lindstrom,
you are.
our Citizens Defending Freedom.
Yes, you are.
No, I mean, the church in El Paso is actually shockingly small. If on any given Sunday, about less than 5% of the population is in church, and that's Protestant and Catholic. But if 3% of the people were out in the election, what you're saying is mathematically correct.
Yes.
Yes.
And just like Luis was talking about earlier, when that one community in Lake Wales, Florida, they went from 16% to, I believe it was 60% in one precinct, as Luis was saying. So if one church would get out and go around the neighborhoods, around their churches, and start to get out the vote, invite them to their church, invite them to learn more about the candidates, those kinds of things, we may see a big difference here. And I'd love to see that here in El Paso.
All right. So tell me just kind of maybe a quick list. What are some of the election issues coming up that we need to keep our eyes peeled for? Because, for example, we recently had Christy Craddock on. She's on the Texas Railroad Commission. And I think that's one of those things that comes up on the ballot, and you're like, why do I care about the railroads? Well, it has nothing to do with railroads, which is amusing. But what are some of the maybe items that you'll see on a ballot that we need to be keeping our eyes peeled for?
So everybody needs to understand there's a primary coming up in March 3rd of next year.
Mm-hmm.
That is like the playoffs. If your team doesn't play in the playoffs, they're not getting in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to make sure that we get out to those primaries and that we get educated and that we understand who these candidates are, what they stand for, and then we get out there and actually go and vote for them.
Mm-hmm.
And the other issue in Texas is that we've got open primaries. So people cross over from one primary to the other to see if they can choose the weakest candidates that either they can control or that they can beat in the November election. So we want to make sure that we're getting out for our team and voting for the players that we want on our team in that November election. And that happens in March.
Okay. All right. Again, if you're just joining us with Citizens Defending Freedom, we've been talking about church action in the political scene, in community leadership. We've been talking about the schools. We've been talking about education and elections. I feel like each of these topics could, on their own, be a 2-hour conversation. But I do hope that we as listeners are learning to educate ourselves in our community, and we are becoming active in both learning and just serving our neighbors. We're about to go into a break. Before we go into the break, this is your daily reminder that KELP Radio is super grateful for all of our impact partners. And today, the impact partner I want to point out is Black Fridays. Pastor Timothy, have you ever been to Black Fridays?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, isn't it great?
It's awesome.
It is. You just go in there on a Friday, and everything I think is $17, and every day that goes down just a little bit. For those of you who are not from El Paso, and if you haven't been to a store like this is one of the first places I take people when they come to visit us. It is a true experiment in human behavior. It's a lot of fun. But if you go on a Wednesday, everything's I think $1.25, and there's a lot of people in there looking for anything in the store that's worth more than $1.25. But I recently found a bunch of citronella candles. It was great because my wife was complaining about she'd go out in the morning on the porch to have her quiet time and the mosquitoes were biting her. And I got 4 citronella candles for like $5. It was great. So Black Fridays, 4 locations around El Paso. Super grateful to them for joining us in our journey to serve the city through this radio ministry. If you're looking for the closest Black Fridays, you can go to blackfridaysstores.com. We're going into a break. Thou shalt not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
Greetings, KELP listeners. This is Terry Gray, pastor of Calvary Chapel, Sun City, and speaker on the Summons broadcast heard each weekday at 5 p.m. right here on this station. Calvary Chapel, Sun City is located at 960 West Borderland Road on the west side of El Paso. We hold services on Wednesday evenings at 7 and on Sunday mornings at 9 and 11. If you are without a church home, we would love to have you join us for worship and Bible study. You can find out more information about us on the web at www.ccsuncity.org.
This is Pastor Steve Castrita. I'd like to extend the invitation for you to join us in service every Saturday at 5 p.m. at Redeeming Grace Church, El Paso. We are located at 2400 George Dieter inside Iglesia Philadelphia. We're a young church on the east side of El Paso with no smoke, no lasers, and no gimmicks, just the uncompromising Word of God and a call to win the 915 for Jesus Christ. We'd love to meet you and your family. God bless you, and thank you for listening to KELP.
Greetings, KELP listeners. My name is Terry Gray, and I have the joy and privilege of serving as the pastor of Calvary Chapel Sun City, located on the west side of El Paso. I also have the joy of connecting with the radio audience in the borderland through the Summons broadcast heard each weekday at 5 p.m. right here on this station. On Summons, we study the Bible book by book, chapter by chapter, verse by verse, precept by precept. Please join us each weekday at 5 p.m. for Summons right here on KELP.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
We are back, and you're listening to 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Freck. During the break, you heard from Pastor Terry Gray of Calvary Chapel Sun City. He's right here in El Paso. He's such a great friend of this radio ministry. I do encourage you to stay tuned each and every weekday after 915 Talk so you can listen to Pastor Terry's teaching chapter and verse. The first time his church went through the Bible, they went through every chapter and verse. It took him 15 years, and it's a ton of fun to listen to him just kind of break down the word and apply it. So stay tuned after 915 Talk each and every weekday. But today we're with Citizens Defending Freedom. They will be at Hope City Community Church tomorrow. What are we going to be talking about, Luis?
Everything.
Everything?
Everything that affects this community.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And it's doors open at 8:30. Refreshments provided. It's free. Hope City Community Church is on the internet, so you can find it. But it's 6115 Woodrow Bean, Trans Mountain. We all know where Trans Mountain is. Luis, you're the Latino Faith Director. We're here in the borderland. Tell me about immigration.
Well, it's definitely a hot topic, especially right now. Mm-hmm. And I know it affects, the Hispanic community, as you know. We have a lot of illegal immigrants in this country that have been here for a very long time. And it's always a subject that we have to talk about, especially if you're talking to Latino pastors. That's one thing that always comes up. And I always share the story about, how we came to this country, because I'm not originally born here in Texas. But I share, listen, we have to understand that there's laws in place, right? Like if I go to a country and I'm already breaking the law just to enter that country, like I have to understand that there's consequences for that action, just like anything else. And so, yes, I get it. I have compassion. I love these people. So my parents came from Nicaragua. I was 2 years old when I came to this country, but we came and we got a political asylum, and thank God for that. But we went through all the protocols. We went through all the procedures. We filed all the right paperwork. But it's a process, right? We were in that process to get everything done, our residency, and then now we're citizens of this great country that I love dearly. So yeah, I think it's just the lack of education, and we just got to tell, because I know many pastors, believe it or not, in Texas and around this country that are here illegally. And I tell them, listen, Pastor, you gotta fix your status, because if they pick you up, they're gonna deport you. So I mean, people have been here for 20 or 30, 40 years. I mean, that's plenty of time to get your stuff in order. And so, and I understand, like there's and then the other side of that story is this: how about the people that came here legally and are now going to the back of the line because of all these people that came here illegally the past 4 years? I mean, it's not fair for them either. There's a person that I know said, Pastor, you know what? I gotta wait now 3 more years for them to process my paperwork because of all these people that came in this past 4 years. How's that fair for them?
Yeah.
So again, we have laws in place for a reason, So, God has laws, man has laws, this nation has laws. Like, we gotta follow the law of the land. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people just think that they can overlook that and just think that nothing's gonna happen. No, there's consequences for breaking the law. So it's a huge topic.
Yeah, it is a huge topic. I find it's interesting here on this program to have so many different opinions. I do hope that we're learning about it, that we're listening, and it is interesting to see the difference in our community over this past year, with the border being more sealed off. At the same time, what I've found is a lot of people say everything you're saying until they meet someone who's in the thick of it, and so that's the tension here is the law and compassion, and we as the church need to be in the front of, I believe, of just listening, learning, serving, and being in the thick of it, and not just how should I say, passing along that responsibility to the government.
But you know what? The problem is this: the immigration system has been broken for many, many decades.
Right. Oh, 100%.
So who's to blame? So you got to blame Congress on both sides.
100%. Yeah.
They haven't agreed to anything.
Yeah.
So again, it comes down to, if we don't get involved, politically speaking, in this process, nothing's going to change.
Yeah. I tend to think that no one wants to fix the system. So.
Exactly. There you go.
All right, Tara. Let's talk a little bit about tomorrow. I want to hear some more specifics of what we're going to hear about.
So, one thing I want to let you know, just that maybe we didn't spell out exactly who is Citizens Defending Freedom.
Love it. Let's talk about
Citizens Defending Freedom is really built upon trying to educate the citizen about what our government does, what we do, where they can get involved. And it also is, what we found is that parents that go to a school board that find an issue with their kid, they have to go through a process called a grievance.
Grievance. Like grief.
Yeah, like grieve.
Okay.
They have to go through a grievance, even if their child, just like what we were talking about with an issue with children being, treated by a teacher inappropriately, right? They have to still go through a grievance. It's not a police department. It's a grievance.
Okay.
They have no legal. They have absolutely no legal for them. All right? So what we do is that we have the ability to get them in contact with a Remnant Law Group, which gives free legal. So they have representation. And so we provide that. We help with that, and we work through that for the citizen, because what happens when you go into a grievance, which many people don't even know, is, and let me tell you, a grievance can be anything. Even if it's about the books, a grievance, you have to go through a grievance. The school has unlimited funds, and they have lawyers there, and those people have money with the school, and they get advice from their lawyers. And here's this innocent parent wanting to bring an issue to the school board, and they have no one. So we provide that, and we also put pressure on them through media. We can do it through social media. We can do it through media influencers. We have the ability to go to news like Texas Scorecard. We could go into like Epoch or Epic Times. We have the ability to get a story out for them so that we can shine light. The best thing to do as a disinfectant is shine light on an issue that needs to be fixed. And we have the ability to do that, and we help parents do that. But we have tons of resources for Texas citizens on our website. So citizensdefendingfreedom.com. Then you go and scroll down and you'll see Texas, the state of Texas there. You click on it, and right there are all our in our website about education things that they may want to learn about, election things they may want to learn about. In other words, a lot of times we found out, just like you were saying, what is a comptroller? What is the railroad, commissioner? What is this? Citizens don't know what they are. We have a resource on there that teaches them what they are. We also provide Zoom calls on a monthly basis where we will put a newsletter out saying, hey, come to this Zoom call. We're going to train you on X, Y, or Z on one of our resources, because we believe the more we educate our citizens about what it is that they can do to get involved, they will get involved. And that's the church. Like, for example, I love Calvary Chapel. I'm a Calvary Chapel girl, so we do it verse by verse, chapter by chapter at my church. And we had a resource that is on precinct chairs. A lot of people don't even know what a precinct chair is, but they're in both parties, okay? And they do go out and block walk for the candidates, and they go out and they have the ability to have votes inside their party about things that are really important, like platforms and different things, right? Well, citizens don't know what a precinct chair is, and many of these chairs are open and vacant. They're just not even filled. So no one's block walking, no one's doing anything around that church, okay? And what we did in my church is we had Debbie come in and teach about that. And we had 30 of people from my church go to it, and now 20 of them are going to be precinct chairs. So think about that. You're filling those seats with Christians, with Christian values and Christian principles, and those candidates that want to run for office now have to go to those precinct chairs to say, will you block walk for me? And if they say, well, do you have my values? I didn't think your voting last year was very well. I don't know. Are you going to continue to vote this way? They have the power to say, no, I'm not going to do that for you.
Right.
And
Okay.
that's really where it's at, to make change from the bottom up.
All right, so that's what's happening tomorrow. We're learning.
You'll
what
learn about some of those
resources are.
resources.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, very cool. Again, it's Citizens Defending Freedom, the Faith in Action Summit. It's tomorrow morning. Starts at 9 a.m. Doors open at 8:30 at Hope City Community Church. Pastor JT over there, 6115 Woodrow Bean, Trans Mountain. Luis, give us your best invitation for tomorrow.
Well, it's time for the church to rise up. It's time for the church to be the salt and the light of El Paso, Texas. There's too much darkness everywhere, and God has given us the most powerful weapon ever known to mankind. That's the power of the Holy Spirit. We have the power to influence. We have the power to govern. We have the power to occupy anything for the kingdom of God. And I'm asking you, pastor or citizen or community, come out tomorrow to this amazing church and come so we can give you the tools and the resources so your church and your community can be that embassy of God where there's transformation. Because we know revival is when a community has a transformation. When you change the climate of a whole community, that's revival. So I'm asking you to come and learn. We're gonna talk about what made America exceptional. And that's a huge problem. Like, people don't know why. Why are we citizens of this great country? Like, they don't know what our forefathers gave us. And so please come, get educated, and we're going to give you tools, and we're going to give you refreshments. Just come and get empowered so you can be that salt and light here in El Paso, Texas. I hope to see you tomorrow.
All right. Well, Citizens Defending Freedom, thank you for coming in today. Again, it will be at Hope City Community Church, the Faith in Action Summit, tomorrow morning, starting at 9 a.m., 6115 Woodrow Bean. Let's get to know our city. Let's get to know our state. I think that's a particular thing that we're going to be talking more and more about on this program. We recently had a candidate for Texas Comptroller. We'll have another one next week. As our listeners know, we have all kinds of politicians come in. You may or may not agree with them, but learn from them. Learn what their platform is, and be in prayer that God will give us leaders who are better than what we deserve. But let's be
to have
active.
a biblical worldview as well.
Amen. But let's get let's get active. Let's serve the community. And as we always say,
And let's protect the children.
Yes.
Amen.
Yeah.
And as we always say, let's learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory. This has been 915 Talk. You have been listening to 915 Talk, a production of Desert Voice Media. In order to listen to previous editions of 915 Talk, just visit desertvoice.media. Let's learn together to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.
Jesus had real scars on a real body. His body was glorified, but it was still recognizable and touchable. He retained the scars in his resurrection body to prove his identity and to remind all of us throughout eternity of the cost of our salvation.
Join Dr. David Jeremiah for his series, The Promise of Heaven, next time on Turning Point.
You are listening to KELP El Paso. Feed your mind, feed your soul at 1590 AM 95.9.